Hey guys, we're back in the workshop and today I've got another one-day build video for you. And today we've got a smaller knife for you. And the cool thing about the smaller kind of knife designs are you can put them into like off-cut pieces where you just have lying around and you don't know what to do with them. So I came up with a little cool design which you can use for EDC and all that kind of stuff. So let's get started with that. A pretty small piece of steel and a normal knife like that wouldn't fit into that. So I came up with this little kind of scalpel kind of tool, and that still fits in. Yes, we still have sadly some waste, but we still can use that steel instead of just laying in some corner and wouldn't be used anyway. So let's get this knife cut out. So what I've done now is I just used some G10 templates for scribing out the outlines of the knife. And the cool thing about these G10 templates is you can use wood or other materials, is they're pretty sturdy. You can scribe really well with them. Paper templates can work, but if you want to do more of these kind of knives, it's really nice. And if you have some other offcuts, I can just grab this template, scribe some line, cut this knife out. And that's what we're going to do now with the angle grinder and the belt grinder. Alright, so the knife is now profiled and actually ready to grind, but before we are going to grind it, I thought about rounding off all the sharp corners. So instead of doing a rock pattern like on the Indominus Shadow, which we've done last week, I thought just round off the edges so we have a really nice, comfortable, sleek knife in the end. So the knife is now rounded off, and I do that before heat treatment because the steel gets really hard, and falling hard steel is pretty nasty. So I did that before, and now we are going to do the pre-grind. So we roughen our bevels. For that I laid in some center line, so I have some reference where to grind to. Again, I'm using a little bit older belt for that because grinding into a fresh corner of steel gets your belts really hard, and that's why I'm using an older belt, and then later after the heat treat we can go to fresh belts. So the knife is now out of the heat treatment and out of the temper. So what we got to do now is finish up the bevel grinding, finish up the edge thickness on that knife, because we left it a little bit thicker so the knife doesn't warp during the heat treatment. So for the grinding of the bevels, I'm using again fresh belts. They cut nicer, they cut cooler, because we have to be really careful so we don't overheat the edge on this knife, because then we would ruin our heat treatment and we don't want to have that. So let's get grinding, and after that we can finish up this. Alright, so the knife is now sandblasted, and today I don't want to use ferric chloride. I would like to use gun bluing. That gives us also a really nice finish. You have to be careful with gun bluing the same way as with ferric chloride. The only thing is with gun bluing, it protects the steel a little bit better in my opinion, but it is not really food safe, so I maybe wouldn't cut an apple with it, but this is just a cardboard slicing tool. If you want to use it with food, make a satin finish, make an acid stonewash finish, that should be fine. But I just wanted to show you guys different options how you can apply dark finishes to your knives. So before we are going to apply the gun blue to that knife, I would like to always clean up the knife with maybe some acetone or isopropyl alcohol, so we don't have any kind of fingerprints or oil stains left on a knife, because that would show up later in the finish. now done, and I'm pretty happy on how this knife turned out. And I'm also pretty happy because I used a piece of steel that I maybe wouldn't have used again. And I'm also really happy on how this knife turned out because I used a different surface texture on this knife, a more traditional texture I would say, with the rounded corners instead of my classical rock pattern. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of One Day Build. If you have any questions, drop them down below. If you don't want to miss any more content, subscribe to this channel, and we'll see us in the next video.